This is Hien with Friends of Irony, protecting families by protecting the pack, and today we're going to look at VeChain on the Mad Hatter setting. So let's go ahead and switch over and talk about it. So I was talking to Cosmo. I'm sure you know about him. He's doing some pretty good stuff with settings and stuff, and trying to get really large numbers. Um, but what we noticed is that as we're back testing it, we're actually back testing, let's say it was a couple days, its previous trend. And so it actually might make some sense to limit the time segment on the type of trend. So if it's from, let's say, December 25th, well, that's a long time, all the way up to, January 21st, that's sort of an uptrend, okay? And then be able to create settings for that. And then we have sideways motion or action from January 22nd all the way to February 15th. So we basically is just picking out certain trends, and if this is a downtrend, if you wanted to trade on this, to create a bot just for that. So we'll have its three bots in a sense: one for downtrend, uptrend, and sideways action. Okay, and then based on that, it'll trade accordingly or be tuned for trading that kind of a thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a bot to do that. VeChain. Then oh, alright, so let's go ahead and do that and launch it off. Alright, so looking at this, let's go ahead and move it to a 1 hour chart that allows us to do that. I don't think it does. So let's have to look at the 5. I think this is a 5-minute chart. So we're gonna have to zoom out a little bit. We'll zoom in. So this will be a full day. It looks like 10, 15, 2-hour spreads. Alright, so let's say from 5 to 5 is 1 day here. Alright, so out of that, we can then pick a trend, a fixed timeline to, in a sense, have a bot ready for. So this is a gradual uptrend, we'll pick that. If we want a little bit of a downtrend, we'll try to pick that, and then try to get a settings for that to happen. So let's say here from March 12th, 12:55. March 12th at 12:55. So that's probably about, just put 12. Okay. To about March 13th, midnight, I guess. And then we'll do a back test for that. But before I do that, let's make sure that in that segment here that the Bollinger Bands, the RSI bands are touching. So I'm going to tighten those up a little bit. Alright, so they are. And so in here, this is where we'll get our trades. And let's go ahead and hit the start button to trade for this time period. Okay. Alright, so based on that, there's not much profit here with these settings. So let's go ahead and kind of uncheck a few things here. Middle, and then I may not turn this up on. So let's see if that gets us a positive. Okay, I'll just go ahead and leave that on. And then if we wanted to make it buy sell, which is fine. could put another buy signal down here. We wanted to make that more for it to buy more often. The Bollinger length, we can actually know the RSI right here. We want it to be a little more crossover. We want it to cross over a little more often. So what we can do with this is just kind of lower that. Lower that, you'll cross over more. It kind of makes it a little more violent, and you'll have a little more buying signals along the way. So right now we have more sell signals, right? Because it's crossing the top more, but it's not crossing the bottom as often. So if we wanted to trade that too on the way up, we totally could. Let's say I'm gonna increase my buy level here, since if it's uptrending, we do want to buy more. So then we'll get more of that, and then we'll sell a little less often, so it could ride the wave up. So we'll kind of increase this up a little. Alright, so there, it'll buy here and sell there. Okay, that's how we can get it to do what we want it to do. Just hit start and see what happens here. Is that the same thing? Okay, so let's see what happened here. First we got something, and then we got nothing, so it's kind of interesting. Maybe it updated, I'm not sure. So let's see here. It did buy here. It's supposed to buy here, but didn't buy anything at all. It didn't trigger anything. And so I believe my dates are correct. 12/12, yeah. March 12th. 12/12. And end date's 13. So it should sell here. But yet I don't see anything. So let's figure that out. Go ahead and put this back. Let's increase the buy level a little bit. Try to get it to buy something. Let's see what happens. No, that's not working either. Let's see, this is 0. So that already just crashed on me. Let's find buy signals. Should have a buy signal here too. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. Alright, so it is what it is. I'm not gonna bother too much with the back test. It seems like, you know, sometimes we'll back test it and then we'll forward run it, and it's just totally different. So let's take the benefit of the doubt that it is doing what it's supposed to do, and then we will, you know, forward test it and see what happens. Okay, I mean, it totally makes sense that it should be buying at this point, but it doesn't, even though I see these buying signals. So it's something I'll probably need to talk to HAAS about it, or they can comment and find out if I'm doing something wrong here, and let me know. So let me put this back down. 70, let me put this back down. 40. Oh, see, kind of like that. Let's see, buy, sell, buy here, sell up there. We'll get you out till too early, so okay. And then I'll take out my sells a little bit. Let's get 80. All right, kind of like this better. A little bit more hold. An uptrend type of bot, and go with that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of stick with this. Now let's go ahead and just kind of, who knows, let's try a couple days, see what happens. 10% there. It's a negative 27% overall. Let's see here. 13% 2 days. See what it's doing. So we got stuck here. Buy, sell. So you see how if we had a longer time frame, it'll buy and hold a little longer for larger profits on an uptrend. Buy and sell. Buy here, 406, as it increases up to a certain point, it'll sell. Okay. So depending on the type of trend you're looking at, is to trade accordingly to those trends, and it'll ideally act according to those trends. Okay. Now let's see why that was that 4-week it was a negative. Let's analyze that. All right, let's see what happened here. I probably got stuck holding the bag, I'm guessing. I don't see any big. Okay. February 22nd to, so this is really far back. This one isn't so much. So March 10 to 11. Let's see which. 10 at 23. Okay, March 10 at 23. Alright, so there it is. So it was expecting it to go up, and then it tanked on us right here, and it wasn't able to recover, and then it was selling here. So I think that's probably the majority of that loss that happened here, and then wasn't able to recover it back up. Alright, so we were talking and deciding like, hey, if we have bots for different trends and they only work for certain trends, would it make sense to have the ability to know when these trends are going to happen and turn these bots on accordingly to when it does happen? And I kind of feel like yes. A HAAS point of view on this is that there is no, I mean, this is a tool like where we would use it as an extension for our trading to help us trade, but they're taking a position that as in like there is no automated way, and of course we always strive towards fully automating it, and there's truth in that, that there is no way to fully automate everything, but that's the whole, so that's why we can strive towards that. So I think that if we can make 3 different bots, uptrend, downtrend, side, but then I'm thinking for the auto tuners to be, it's hard to know when it is, but to let the results show, but to reinforce it. So I'm kind of thinking in my head, like posing like, hey, what if we just put really low amounts of trades on all 3? And if any of those take off and show a profit, double down on it. And if it shows profit again, double down, double down, double down. And then once it starts to downtrend and start to show losses, it'll then cut that in half. And losses lose again, cut it in half, cut it in half, cut it in half. And while these are doubling up as it's showing signs of winning trades. So that way we can adjust the trade amounts for testing, but then overall reinforcing more cash and more positions on the bots that are doing well on those trends. I don't know, it's like, I guess you could call it like gambling, but in blackjack, how like you would, you kind of count cards and you say, okay, I think I see it coming, your percentages are starting to make sense, where you're going to get a lot of 10s, then you start to increase your position, but you bet the same amount the whole time. Eventually the house wins on that percentage. But when you start to see opportunities and it's reinforcing that indicator that, hey, I think you need to double up on this, that's where you start to, in a sense, make more on positive reinforcements, and then when it does maybe give you a slight loss, then cut the trades back in half, so you start to pull back a lot quicker than the losses amount. So at least that's the idea. Um, but that we have to balance that with the frequency of trades, because you get stuck holding the bag. I have something built into so that it doesn't hold it for more than a day. If it does, we can make an adjustment or just sell this out in a sense. So these are just some of the features that kind of making me think right now. See, I'm like having my thinking mind. So anyways, hopefully that you guys help. You guys have any ideas too, definitely chime in, put that on there, and that will help me improve on the features there. I'm gonna start moving a lot of my stuff onto DTube. I'm kind of seeing a lot of maybe crypto type stuff being censored or whatever, just on the whim of YouTube's terms and conditions and whatever political whatever stuff that's been happening. So I'm gonna put my DTube link. I appreciate it if you guys would follow me there. I think that's a little more long term. And if I've earned your upvotes, I appreciate your upvotes. Thank you very much for those. And we'll go from there. All right, thank you guys. I have some new releases for the auto tuner that I'm excited about, but I'll talk about that later on once I put a little more time to it and it's kind of ready for release. Been working with Cosmos on maybe having a way to kind of set up the initial guesses and then tuning it from that point on. So some of these strategies that's there, and then also be able to adjust the amounts of the trade bots, kind of like what I just talked about later, but that'll be much later on. So thank you. You guys have a good one, and I'll talk to you later.